But
we'll get to the we're going to get to the discussion of the military in a moment, but let's bring David Bose into the conversation. He's from the Cato Institute. Did you hear anything new that you liked in these speeches?
No, nothing much new. The president said he wants to do some tax reform, get rid of the loopholes, cut out the special privileges, and lower rates. That would be a good thing to do. And both the speakers said spending is too high, the deficit is too high, we're going to do something about it. But they didn't have any specifics, and spending has soared, and they aren't talking about anything that would come close to solving that problem.
If you were giving the State of the Union, what would you have said? What do you wish they had said?
Well, I would have said some of the things Paul Ryan said. We are approaching a very dangerous point. You know, spending rose $1 trillion under President Bush before the financial crisis. Since the financial crisis, it's risen another $1 trillion in 2.5 years. So we've got a budget that's $2 trillion higher than the one Bill Clinton left to George W. Bush. And they're talking about nicking around the edges. That is insane. We have doubled federal spending in 10 years. We've increased it by $2 trillion. We need to be making major cuts. And obviously, you don't have to cut the core functions of government. I'd like to cut a lot of the things the federal government does. But if you've increased it $2 trillion in 10 years, then there's a lot of stuff you could cut before you start getting to the basic safety net.
Now, one of the things we've been hearing a lot about is civility. We have to get along together. They all sat next to each other. And I don't buy this noise about how politics is too mean-spirited. We need to return to the civility of the old days. But this is just ignorance of history. Reason TV looked at the presidential race in 1800 and turned what was said then into hypothetical political ads.
John Adams is a blind, bald, crippled, toothless man who wants to start a war with France. While he's not busy importing mistresses from Europe, he's trying to marry one of his sons to a daughter of King George. Haven't we had enough monarchy in America? If Thomas Jefferson wins, murder, robbery, rape, adultery, and incest will be openly taught and practiced. Are you prepared to see your dwellings in flames, female chastity violated, children writhing on a pike?
So it seems much calmer now. Congressman Paul, you've been an outcast. Nobody's treated you that badly, I take it.
No, not that bad. And yet I think over the years we've had way too much bipartisanship because they work together.
To spend more.
But Republicans and Democrats, you know, both have been infiltrated by Keynesian economics, and so they follow that, and they both have the same foreign policy. They both have essentially the same monetary policy, and the Republicans haven't been good at really changing the course of history when it comes to increasing the welfare state and welfareism. So I think we eventually have to have a little bit of dissent. The only place I can see where you could cooperate and have two factions get together and say compromise is on cutting. You know, if your sacred cow is the military and somebody else's sacred cow is the welfare, you each have to agree to cut about 50, 100, trillion, you know, $1 trillion or whatever on each side. That's the agreement that you have to have, but that isn't what happens. They have worked too well together, and they always agree to vote for each other's. You know, you vote for my deal, and I'll vote for yours. Pardon me?
Dr. Paul and David Bose, please.